romanto, Mr. Romanto.
Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have legendary writer Chuck Dixon joining us. We're going to talk about his brand new project, 7 Deadly Sinners. We'll get into some other comic book goodness, I'm sure, like Batman or Nightwing or Birds of Prey or Punisher. And plus, we'll take your calls and questions. All that and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, 1 ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you out there. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, hello. We do have video because Joey V is sitting right across from me. And of course, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast version on whatever platform you do get your podcasts from, we appreciate you finding us there. And hopefully you're listening and you've subscribed by this point. Hopefully, and left us a 5-star review. That always makes us happy and increases our chances of getting found on search engine optimization channels and networks and other gobbledygook technical stuff that I don't really understand, but that's what I'm told happens. Very excited to talk to my next guest. It's been a while since I've had him on. The last time was a pre-recorded to talk about his Levon Cade series, and now he's back because he's got a brand new project with the Ripperverse. He's got 7 Deadly Sinners, and he's going to talk about that with us now. Chuck Dixon, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, and hello to everybody in Radioland.
It's so exciting because you're one of those writers. I was going through some of my stuff, pulling out some comics. I'm like, gosh, there was as prolific as you were, because at one point you were doing about 8 titles for DC. You were doing Batman, Detective, Robin, Nightwing, Green Arrow, Catwoman, Birds of Prey, and probably another tie-in title. It's just mind-boggling how you were able to keep all that straight in your mind during that period.
Yeah, I just kind of lived it. I mean, I was running on 100% enthusiasm early in my career, and it was like, I can't believe I'm working on Batman. So I was just high on the opportunity all the time.
And these creator-owned titles, because we see the market's changed significantly since then, and a lot of people are, even if they're still working, like the best case I always point out is Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor have their own paper films production, they do a bunch of stuff. We see
Right.
more and more people turning to Kickstarter and GoFundMe to do their own creator-owned thing because it gives them a lot more control of the characters and everything they do. And I know you're working with Eric July on in the Ripperverse. How has been your experience working with him?
Oh, terrific. I mean, these are, in the Ripperverse, it's all his toys, but he lets me play with them. He's pretty hands-off, given that, this is his universe that I'm operating in. I mean, usually when you're working in a comic book universe, it's 75 to 80 years old. And there's nobody, but now I'm dealing with the guy who created the universe. But he's been great. He's been great to work with.
And with 7 Deadly Sinners, I've looked over the information because you sent me the email updates and everything like that. And it seems just like this is made for a big budget movie. As I see the project, it seems like it's a lot of fun. Talk a little bit about, for people who this is the first they're hearing about it, tell people a little bit about 7 Deadly Sinners.
Yeah, probably better as a low budget movie. It's a throwback retro grindhouse 1970s outlaw biker flick on paper. And I'm working with Bob Hardin, who is a legendary cartoonist and the only guy that could have brought this book to life. And it's action packed. It's I call it 1970s PG.
Which is quite a bit different from today's PG. Obviously,
Yes.
back in the days before they had PG-13 even. And I looked up some of Bob's stuff because I wasn't terribly familiar with him until I started looking into what he's done. Like, oh my gosh, I've seen Bob's work substantially. Some of the stuff he's done, especially for like band type stuff, like I think Meatloaf, Metallica, some bands like that he did artwork for. Cartoon Magazine was one of the ones he worked on, but a very impressive resume. And the more I looked at him, like, of course I'm familiar with his work, but his name wasn't one that jumped out at me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was a legend in cartoons, drag tunes, all those magazines.
So how did he get paired on the project? Is he someone you've known in the past and said, hey, this guy'd be perfect for what we're trying to do? How did he become attached?
Well, he drew some of my earliest comic book work, horror stories that I wrote for Eclipse. And because it was Bob, we made these horror-themed horror things. And I always had him in mind for this project, even back then. I mean, I thought of this project in '86.
Really?
But I couldn't get any publishers interested. And finally I said, to hell with it. I'm just going to finance it on my own. I'll just pay Bob to draw it. So here we are.
Wow. And how much from the initial conception back in '86 to what we're going to be getting in this new series, how much has changed since your original conception of it?
Not a whole lot. It's very basic. It's the Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven retold with outlaw bikers. I mean, it's meat and potatoes stuff. And so really nothing changed. The concept was, the concept is the concept.
Has it been something you've gone back and revisited from the time you originally and then it kind of sits on the shelf for a while? Has it been kind of always consistently right there under the surface, ready to be told?
It sits on the shelf in my brain. It's been sitting there for years and years and years. And I would keep thinking about it and it's like, okay, I'm never going to forget about this project. So I've got to get it out. I have to get this out of my system.
And with this being, I know you've worked on some other stuff in the Rippaverse. What was the conversation like when you said, hey, I'd like to do this story in this particular universe? What was that conversation like?
Well, pretty much we had the project done and I brought it to them. It's completely finished. It's been completely finished for a number of years. And we brought it to them and said, would you be interested in publishing this through Rippaverse? And they took a look at it and they liked it. And they said, yeah, let's do it.
And you've blown through it. We were talking off air. I think you're at 12,000 and you only needed a 10,000 pre-order goal. And we still got a little over 2 weeks left in this. Now, is Rippaverse kind of like Kickstarter in that will be stretch goals? If you hit a few more things, there'll be other additional goodies that people can get and add-ons and things like that?
Well, there's lots of add-ons. There's a full-size movie poster, which is gorgeous. It's a full one-sheet movie poster. There's a beer koozie because it seemed to go along with the subject matter, and T-shirts and stickers, and all of them are designed by Bob, who is as you said, with the rock and roll art and everything else. He's a heck of a design guy too. So those are all add-ons. It's pretty much just a pre-order. It's not so much a crowdfunder because the project is finished.
Right.
I mean, you're pre-ordering it, and then you can add on all the tchotchkes you want.
And so if people want to get, obviously, if they're getting the book, they may as well go ahead and throw in, like you said, a beer koozie. And that poster was the first thing that jumped out at me when I was looking at the different aspects of what people can get. And the poster, it looks like, to your point, a 1970s movie poster that you would see for a poster of that era.
Yeah, it's a killer poster. Bob just did an awesome job on it.
With all the stuff you've been working on nowadays, are there a lot of other ideas like these that have been kind of sitting on, as you said, the shelf in your mind and that will be coming forward soon? And how do you kind of, if that's the case, pick which ones you want to start bringing into the world?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much at the self-starter portion of my career. I'm not working under contract to anybody. I'm outside of the Rippaverse. I'm not working on other people's characters. And even there, I'm working on a lot of characters I created. So I can get up in the morning and write what I want and present what I want. It's just a matter of financing. But I have, a number of projects in the works now, and it all depends on which one the artist finishes first, the order they'll come out in. So, I'm always thinking of new stuff to do.
Having had the relationship with Bob Hardin for that long, and I know you famously worked with Graham Nolan quite a bit. I know the two of you are friends. I assume after that time, there's a bit of a shorthand involved. There's not I kind of wanted this instead, and passing back and forth between the art and how it process. I assume by this point, two people like that who are such professionals, it's pretty much, here's what we want, you get it back, and you're like, yep, nailed it on the first time? Or is there still a little bit of back and forth?
No, Bob brought so much to the project. I mean, somebody pointed out in the background of one of the panels is a Weber grill that would have been in period in the 70s. I mean, he's a detail guy.
Wow.
And he just brought 150% to the project. I knew he would. I mean, it's a total collaboration to the point where he said, well, the extended car chase scene that climaxes the book, he said, can I make it a few pages longer? And I said, if you've got an idea for car gags, I am not going to stand in your way. Go crazy. And he went crazy.
So that's great though, because there's a little bit of things that are added on, not added on. They're just kind of extending an idea a little bit more and having a little bit more fleshed out and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's the artist, and comics are visually driven. So I always, will take a backseat to the artist if they've got a good idea. It's like, yeah, go for it.
And if you're just now joining us, we're talking for a while yet with Chuck Dixon. If you have a call or a question, we've got the KTRS phone lines are open at 314-931-5877. The text lines at 84126. If you would just leave your name, text us like, this is Brian, I'm calling from Kirkwood. This is Gina, I'm calling from Chesterfield, and let us know your question in the text line. We'll keep an eye on that as well. And of course, you can also, if you're streaming us, you can leave a comment or a like in the chats. Steve Holman in the chat says hello. He's watching us, I believe, from St. Charles, Ferguson, Missouri, I believe, is where Steve Holman is listening from. We're going to take a very quick commercial break because I've got a weird thing on my board here that I'm looking at. So we're going to take a break very quickly. We'll come right back and speak more with Chuck Dixon as the hour goes on. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Tell Nestina, the sky is falling. I won't fall for that. Gotcha. That'll keep her in her place.
Rose Petal, Nestina, and Orchid Dolls come with All You See Here, each sold separately, new from Canada.
Seaweed's Tropicals.
It's Kenner's Seaweed's Tropicals. Camille, Baby Cascade, and Pelly Pelican. She's tan, has pretty blue hair you can comb, and looks cute in a little grass skirt. You can collect Flora Tropical, Baby Finella, and Little Dog de Bloom.
Seaweed's Tropicals.
Seaweed's Tropicals, Camille, Baby Cascade, and Pelly. Other Seaweed's Tropicals sold separately.
Introducing the new Play-Doh Mop Top Hair Shop.
What are the mop tops? The Play-Doh mop tops. Just turn the chair.
They grow Play-Doh hair.
They're the mop tops.
You can comb it, wave it, style it, or shave it.
The Play-Doh mop tops.
You can let it grow down to his toes.
They're the mop tops.
From the Play-Doh Mop Top
Hair Shop.
The Play-Doh Mop Top Hair Shop, sold with everything you see here. New from Kenner.
Here's Sit and Spin from Kenner.
You can spin around, sit around, even carry it around. Let's go inside. You can spin some more, like before, most anywhere you put it down.
Sit and Spin, the indoor-outdoor take-along spinning toy.
Wow! You can spin like one, spin like two. How you spin is up to you.
Sit and Spin. You put it together.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Voice of Kevin Conroy bringing us back from commercial break. I have to play that at least once a show ever since he passed. Always my Batman, the voice I'll hear in my head every time I read a Batman comic. If you had a chance to meet him, you were incredibly blessed. Want to make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. If you maybe talking to Chuck makes you think, boy, you know what, I wouldn't go back and get some of that Detective Comics run, or boy, his run on Green Arrow is really great. Talk to Larry at Bugs Comics and Games. Chances are he's got those issues in his back issue bin. New issues, back issues, toys, games, whatever it might be you're looking for, Larry's probably got it. I always say it's not a real comic book shop if they don't have back issues, and he's got a ton of back issues to go through. Everything from dollar boxes all the way up to some more pricey Bronze and Silver Age in the case and on the wall at his shop there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. If you are looking for something, maybe your local comic book store closed down during COVID. A lot of them unfortunately did shutter. Larry's still open and he's online, Instagram and Facebook, Bugs Comics and Games. He'll post stuff up there, sometimes a rare back issue, sometimes new issues that come in and have sold out in other comic book shops. He's like, nope, I've got them and I'll ship them to you. Follow him on Instagram and Facebook. Say, that's the book I want. He'll send you a PayPal invoice. You pay it. He ships it right to your door safely and securely. It's like having your own local comic book shop online. While you're there, if you go to his shop on Bryan Road, join the Avengers Club. That way you start saving money on your weekly issues, your back issues, your bags and boards, the Pokemon cards, whatever it is you buy from him. You save money each week. That way you're not sacrificing your hobby in the economy that we're in. That way you get to go ahead and enjoy everything, all the perks, and then start a pull list. That way you never miss an issue of Infernal Hulk or Amazing Spider-Man or World's Finest, whatever it might be. It's safely tucked away for you. So if it sells out, like Absolute Batman's been doing, it's already put aside. You don't have to worry about getting there on Wednesday. You can show up Thursday or Friday, and the comic book is near mint condition, safely tucked aside for you to pick up when you come in the store. Bugs, Comics, and Games. Again, follow him on Facebook and on Instagram, and tell him you heard about it on Geek to Me Radio, the official comic book sponsor of our show. Talking with Chuck Dixon about his projects, he's got 7 Deadly Sinners now available. You can back it. I guess backing's not the right word. Pre-order, as we talked about. Pre-order for the next 19 days or so. I think it was 20 this morning. So by the time you're hearing this, it might be only 14. So jump on there. We will have a link in the show notes where you can go. It's ripascend.com, and you can just search for Chuck Dixon or 7 Deadly Sinners, and it'll pull it right up there. You can get that pre-order in along with some of the goodies he ended up talking about. Last time you and I chatted was when the Levon Cade series was out. And one of the things I love, your take on movies, because we're Facebook friends, and you'll watch a movie. I'm like, boy, I remember seeing that movie, and you'll tear it apart. I'm like, oh no, I like that one. But you've got very nuanced takes, and a couple of ones I'm like, boy, I completely agree with them. So, is it one of those things you just kind of watch a movie a day? Because it seems like you're pretty up to date on movies with all this stuff you've been watching. You go back and watch the older ones and check out the newer ones.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a movie a day guy. I like movies. I'd watch 5 a day if I could.
Interferes with the workload.
Yeah, I've always been this way. I mean, I used to go to triple features all the time when I was younger. I mean, back when they had triple features, I used to go to the Grindhouse theaters and the continuous play theaters. So yeah, and I basically the movie reviews are like a writing exercise for me. I'll get up and I'll write a movie review, and it gets me writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Has there been anything out lately that you've been particularly impressed with? Any new release that you've seen that kind of really stood out to you?
I liked Caught Stealing.
Yes.
A whole lot. That's a good movie. And I just got back from Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair.
Oh, yeah. I saw that was being released.
Yeah, I got to see it in 70 millimeter. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. And it was, I'm glad I saw it because there's extended sequences and there's a little short film at the end that adds a chapter to the story. It was cool. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, I Caught Stealing, and I know Joey will back me up on this. That's one of the movies I was shocked didn't do better with awards because it was an original story. The cast was all phenomenal. Matt Smith, who I feel like is always like, I can't unsee the 11th Doctor when I see him and stuff. He did really well in this one, too. It was a little bit of a departure role for him. I was surprised it didn't get more love.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was Matt Smith. It was like Tropic Thunder when you find out it's Tom Cruise. I was like, Matt Smith, whoa.
Yeah, we just got a preview. We ended up going to see Project Hail Mary. And that's probably going to be one of my favorite movies of 2026 here because it was so well done. So I'm a little nervous for you to see it because I'm like, what if Chuck says all these bad things that I didn't think of? He sees things I didn't see. But it's I think Ryan Gosling's been really, really good across the board. I've never seen him in anything I really didn't like.
I think Ryan Gosling chooses well.
Yeah.
What he's going to be in. So, I mean, and he can choose what he wants. It's funny, they showed the trailer before the Kill Bill thing for Hail Mary Project. And yeah, it looks good. It does look good.
Last year, 2 years ago, I guess, I decided trailers were either spoiling the movie for me, that showed too much, or I went in with my expectations too high. So I stopped watching trailers at all. And when we get these movie screeners, they don't show us trailers. It just goes right into the movie, which is nice. But I went with my wife yesterday. She wanted to see Hoppers. I'm like, there's like 7 different previews for movies. And now these movies are ruined for me. Do you find that enhances your enjoyment or kind of disillusions you on what a movie is going to turn out to be?
Yeah, I mean, most trailers are awful. They show you too much of the story. I mean, a film director I talked to years ago said, never try to make a murder mystery because they'll just tell you who the killer was in the trailer. And he literally made a movie where the killer was shown in the trailer. It's like, forget about it.
Gosh. Well, there's that. I was very disappointed with this latest Knives Out movie because I felt the other ones you can kind of see, I see how he got there. This one, it felt like they didn't reveal anything until he shows it. And we didn't have access to any of that information. We couldn't have possibly guessed, which I don't know if that was an intentional choice of the director or how it was written, but I felt it was a letdown after the past 2.
Yeah, that's cheating in a whodunit when you just withhold information. You should let us see everything and make up our mind. That's Rian Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that so much better in that series Poker Face that he produces, because those are good.
Yeah,
those are solid, and I don't find the Knives Out movies that solid.
Yeah, the first one was great, but it seemed like it's a diminishing returns as it gets into each movie going on.
It's tough to write a whodunit. It really is.
And speaking of whodunit detective, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to you before the Batman came out, which in my opinion felt very much like a Marshall Rogers and Steve Englehart detective comics. It had that kind of gritty, grainy 70s feel. And it felt more like it focused on his detective skills than any other Batman movie had. How did you enjoy that movie?
I just wish they'd used another character other than the Riddler, because he was very un-Riddler. And Riddler's probably my favorite Batman villain. And it's a demanding character to write because, like a whodunit, you've got to work out all the riddles. The riddles have to serve 2 purposes. If you get one answer, you get one result. If you get another answer, you get another result. So it's tough to write. The 66 show did a great job, but just having him be a serial killer, there's a dozen Batman villains that could have just been a serial killer.
Right. Yeah. And to talk about your run on Detective, I know you had the Riddler. I think it was like issue 708 or 709. He had Echo and Query were with him, his henchwomen. So do you find that characters like that where you have to kind of brain twist and kind of work towards the ending and go backwards for the story, so that's one of the more complex villains to write?
Yeah, I mean, I love Riddler, but in my 11 years on Batman, I only wrote him twice. And that the one you're talking about with Graham Nolan, I mean, it took me 2 years to work out the riddles.
Wow.
And the riddles were based on scoring baseball games. So I really raised the bar high, to make that entertaining. And I think when I came up with the idea that he would kidnap the Clue Master, I think that was the hook that, allowed me to finish it. But I had to read dozens of riddle books, and I still ended up having to make up half the riddles.
Wow. And with the run you did, we talked a little bit earlier in the program about working on all those different DC titles. I'm sure Batman's always been my favorite. Yeah, I've got your poster here, and I've got your Nightwing poster. I'm not sure if you can see them over there behind me, but a big Batman fan. Was, aside from Batman himself, which one of those characters that you wrote in that kind of universe was the most satisfying for you?
I loved writing any scene with Alfred and Tim Drake as Robin, because they had this special relationship with Bruce where they were trying to keep him out of trouble, trying to rein him back, and how to do that tactfully, because you couldn't come at him directly. He would just push you aside and jump in the Batmobile. So I always loved those scenes. Plus, Alfred was very looking after Tim Drake, constantly cautioning him about the life he's chosen.
Yeah.
Those scenes I thought were always either funny or very touching.
The early Tim Drake, when he first took on the role, he's one of those, he fought for the role of Robin. He had to kind of prove himself, unlike Dick and Jason and later Damian. But there was something about him that always kind of, maybe it's because he was Robin, and when I first started reading the books, Jason was already dead. But it was a very special. I kind of was disappointed when they turned him into Red Robin and kind of altered aspects of the character. I always wanted him to be Robin. I know they had to make way for Damian, but to the point about Alfred as well, I'm surprised they haven't brought him back yet. I guess some deaths need to be permanent, but I feel like that's a missing piece of the Batman puzzle, having killed him off and still leaving him dead.
Yeah, you need Robin, you need Alfred. As Denny O'Neil explained to me when I took on Robin, he said, that's like a triumvirate, that's a trilogy, a trinity, where Batman needs Alfred and a Robin to humanize him, to give him someone to care about and someone to care about him. If he was just Batman by himself 24 hours a day, it would get very dull.
We talked to the late, great Keith Giffen, and I know I was surprised. I said, different people keep comic books. They obviously get the comps that are sent by the company. Some writers and artists collect comic books. He said, if you went through my house, you would not even know I'd worked on comic books. I don't have a single comic book in my entire house. Wow. Where do you land on that spectrum? Do you keep up with books? Do you have a lot? Do you collect and read still?
Well, if you look behind me, almost everything behind me I wrote. They're bound volumes of things that I wrote, and then I have literally walls in the other rooms of books and comic books, and my main comic book collection, I have a walk-in closet that's in there. It's all like 50s and 60s.
Oh, neat.
Are locked away in there. So yeah, I'm a collector. Yeah, you'd know the minute you walked in.
This
guy has something to do with comic books.
Yeah, in the picture, I couldn't quite tell. Some of those were like DVDs and Blu-rays, or I couldn't quite.
No, they're all books.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's all trade paperbacks and comics I bound them on my own, and so I just wanted to keep a record of what I've done.
And do you keep up with any of the current stuff, or once you kind of leave a title, is it kind of like whatever they do with it, it's whatever they do with it?
Yeah, it's like watching your kids go off with their new dad. It's like I don't really want to know what happens. It just makes me sad. But I read a lot of comics. I read comics from all over the world, from Europe, from Japan, everywhere. I'm still a comic geek. I love them, so I'm constantly reading stuff. And
I don't want to say the antithesis, but the other version of the vigilante, the one who takes the streets. You worked on Punisher a lot too. I know some of those runs that you had. I love Dead Man's Hand with Nomad and Daredevil. That was a fantastic run that you did. And you obviously did the famous Batman versus Punisher when they had the DC Marvel crossover. How did you like? And now his name is escaping me. The gentleman who's in Daredevil now. I can't. No, Charlie Cox is Daredevil, the guy who's playing Punisher.
Oh, John Bernthal.
John Bernthal, thank you. Yes, how do you like his portrayal?
I think he's a good choice. I mean, he's got a good look. He's got the physicality, and he's a good actor. He's a good actor. So I have no problem with him as Punisher. Not as crazy about their interpretation of him. He's a little too emo for me.
And the Daredevil series, did you? I feel like the Netflix version was definitely different from the Disney Plus. I guess it kind of had to be, and we kind of knew that was coming. But did you enjoy what they did with the Daredevil, air quotes, Born Again on Disney Plus?
I think they did a good job. I've never been a big Daredevil fan, so but yeah, I think that they did a good job. Probably better than most of the series they've done.
So taking away the stuff you've worked on and how you've added and adapted characters, what is it, in your opinion, that makes a good superhero?
Well, he has to be somebody we can relate to, and he can have flaws but not be flawed. I think Peter Parker and Spider-Man are a perfect example. I mean, we can all relate to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And that those comics to me growing up, I mean, they really were the pathway. They showed the template for how to write a successful comic book series, to have the humanity there and the relatability. Because like I said, Batman's hard to relate to, and that's why we need Robin and Alfred.
Right. Yeah, because none of us will ever be that wealthy.
or that driven or that ruthless.
Yeah.
No, we're never, we're going to lead like regular normal lives.
Right. Yeah. If I was, I think the person I could relate most to is John Wick, because I tell you, if someone killed my dog, I'd probably go after them as well.
Well, that's a prime example. I mean, we can all, great. For the next 4 movies, kill people.
That's one heck of a dog, I got to say, if you're going through 4 movies for that.
Yeah. He loved that dog.
Yeah. It's outstanding. Some of the stuff we're getting now, I feel like we're kind of movies have ebbed and flowed, and I feel like we're getting kind of we're on a swell again. We're getting a fairly decent slate of really solid movies again. I don't know if the industry is just kind of, I don't say course correcting, but it's just that kind of natural ebb and flow of story.
Well, they're very much course correcting because they need money desperately. So they're looking for things that they're going back to the old rules of let's make movies people want to see, as opposed to movies that we hope they want to see.
Yeah.
So they've wised up. That's why there's so many horror films in production, because they always earn money.
Yeah, they're easy to make. They're not usually too expensive, and I think some of the stuff that A24 has been kind of taking, and they've seemed to be finding the perfect movies. I know the production company they've been doing has just been. I don't think I've seen a bad A24 movie yet. Usually, if it's got their stamp on it, I'm usually going to go see it, and I'm usually end up being impressed with it.
Yeah, IFC Midnight. They turn out some good stuff too in the horror realm.
Yeah. I think it's just
so there's a lot of good creative people because they're cheap to make. And they're allowed to experiment. You get to see some really, really different stuff and surprising stuff, which I can't say about conventional movies. But conventional movies generally don't surprise you. That's why I like Caught Stealing so much. There was surprise that I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. To that point, it kind of did keep it kept you moving the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
You were just very unsure what was going to happen next. Like, I didn't see, spoilers for anyone listening who hasn't seen it yet, I didn't see Matt Smith actually dying at the end. I thought he was going to make it through, and then just leaving him there in the train was so sad. It just had those really nice beats throughout the movie, and it kept a nice pace.
Yeah, it seamlessly. I mean, there's humor in it, and there's pathos, and there's action, and none of it seems forced or contrived. It just it has an emotional flow to it that matches the kinetic energy of the movie. It's just an awesome achievement for basically what's a crime caper.
Right. And I feel like it was set in the 90s, which I always kind of I say that those early to mid and some of the late 90s movies was almost a golden age renaissance. There's some of the movies that would be made, like I think I always think of Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead with Andy Garcia and Treat Williams. Four Rooms, that was a movies that I don't know would get made today because they had those smaller independent studios putting out these really solid quality films with great story. And I feel like every time Paramount scoops up a studio or Warner Brothers buys it, we're kind of losing a lot of that, which is, again, to my point, I'm glad we're seeing some of these come back in a way.
Yeah. They're turning back to reliable creators and reliable filmmakers, because like I said, they're built. All the studios except Amazon are deeply in debt.
Yeah, I think Netflix, depending on how this deal goes through with them, because I think the reason they're so aggressively pursuing is because they do have cash. And I think that's one of the reasons Netflix is actually so actively going after Warner Brothers right now.
Yeah. I mean, but Amazon, they can make a movie off of a week's worth of selling spatulas.
When you've got that base behind you, that's kind of a nice avenue to have that extra revenue stream for doing.
And the cool thing about Amazon is there isn't one person in charge; it's like three people. Mm-hmm. So you're getting different flavors. Yeah, you're not getting one person's taste all the time. Which it's a chaotic system, but it turns out to be creatively a very beneficial system. If
it's working, I guess, don't change it. That's one thing. If you're tuning in right now, we're talking with legendary writer Chuck Dixon. Again, I want to make sure we tell people about 7 Deadly Sinners. We're going to have a link to that in the show notes. It's ripasend.com. You can check it out there. Still about 19 days or so to go. Are you okay to stick with me through another break?
Yeah, we can talk.
All right, perfect. We're going to take another brief commercial break then. We're going to come right back in just a moment. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Supernatural. Now you can join the battle between brave Lionheart and evil Skull and their eerie ghostlings.
Lion, you're dying. Now, Master.
They change to fight with ghostly might. Turn them into the light, and they change into even more powerful creatures.
Now, the lion in me is free. Take this!
Supernaturals. Lionheart, Skull, and Ghostling sold separately. New from Tonka.
H.I.
And an amplifier too. But you don't need drums to make these sounds. It's true. Hit six. Hit six. Play 'em in the air. You can play 'em anywhere. That drives you crazy and you're about my tune. Hit six. One and the only hit six.
Meet the Pretenders, who wear a bunch of cats who'll do anything to get out of this pet shop, even dress up like other animals. Shh. So if you see us in your neighborhood and you find out we're not what you think we are, you're the best bunny ever. Purr? You're not a bunny. You're a cat. Don't tell, okay? Don't worry. It'll be our secret.
The Pretenders from Fisher-Price.
Out for you. 314-432-4200. HACKETT. Security.com.
Hi, this is Shin Han, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Another Dark Knight, another Batman one. I didn't purposely put Shin Han in there for that reason, but it just happens we've got Chuck Dixon on. So 2 Batman return liners in one day. That's fine. I want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Longtime listeners will know the website discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. Fantastic place to visit. They've just come off of their Christmas Traditions Festival. They did the Valentine's Festival, Once Upon a Valentine's Day. They've always got something going on down there with the weather turning nicer. It was lovely today. Hopefully some of you got out, walked around the Katy Trail, took your dog out there for a walk. If your cat goes for a walk, that's fine. Take your cat for a walk. People bike ride the Katy Trail. If you don't have a bike, go to the Bike Stop Cafe, get a little bit of lunch, rent a bike, and bike ride the Katy Trail. Get out there and play some Frisbee golf or just enjoy some of the sights of the cobblestone streets of historic St. Charles. Lots of great restaurants, and the best thing, one of the greatest things I love about St. Charles is these are all locally owned small businesses. So when you go into Cozy Shop, when you go into First Capital Trading, or when you have something to eat at someplace like Magpies and you get their blueberry cobbler, or you're getting some macarons, some sugar and slice, these are all independently small owned businesses. You're supporting people where that money is going to stay in your community. And in this economy, that's always important to do, is to support small businesses. And the entire area, North and South Main, is made up of these small businesses. You might want to go out, have some fun on a Friday night, check out Kubrick's Movie Bar in North Main, grab a great drink, play some. He's got those Nintendo 64s hooked up to the big screen TVs. They do movie showings and things like that on Friday nights, so it's always a good time to pop in then. But all these shops and businesses, these are always great. And then the Convention and Visitor Bureau themselves put on these fantastic events like the ice sculpting event in January. And of course, I know here it is March, but I'm already thinking ahead. Halloween, my favorite holiday of all, Legends and Lanterns. If you're a big Halloween fan, you can go out there and interact with characters like Ichabod Crane, like Lizzie Borden. The Brothers Grimm are out there telling you about their stories. You can talk to Mary Shelley and sing karaoke with Phantom of the Opera. A good time is always had. Check out the website. If you don't believe me, look all the things there are to see and do in St. Charles. It's discoverstcharles.com. It's one of the reasons I decided to host Two Rivers Comic Con down there, not only because of my relationship with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, but a normal con, you're going to, this convention, this place over here, we're going to get hot dogs or pretzel or something. Now there's Brazilian restaurants, there's fresh barbecue, there's burgers, there's brats, whatever you might want up and down North and South Main. It's a really great place to host a con. Really great place to visit. Don't believe me? Again, check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Chatting for a little while longer here with Chuck Dixon, who's my guest, talking about 7 Deadly Sinners. We were talking about movies before we went to break. I'm curious, with this having been an idea in the back of your head since I think you said 86, surely you must have thought, if this does get made into a movie, who would I cast as some of these parts? That must have changed since 86.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
Do you have people in mind now that this is coming to fruition and we're getting to see in print? Have you kind of thought, well, I'd like this person to play this role?
Quite frankly, I'd like to see it so low budget it's just unknowns. I've talked to a couple of people, producers, and said, look, the cheaper you make this, the better that it'll be.
Yeah,
because it'll look. I want it to look like a 70s biker flick.
Yeah,
as much as possible. Except this has a story, which most biker flicks didn't have. It was just one outrageous thing after another.
And those some of those 70s movies, like the original Gone in 60 Seconds, or I think of obviously all the Clint Eastwood movies, they had that gritty urban feel to them that they've done that successfully in a couple movies now lately, but it seems like that's just kind of that, I don't know a better word for it than grit.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at movies like, Vanishing Point, Electric Light and Blue, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, those kind of, sort of drive-in, car chase movies, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And that was our big inspiration.
With all the TVs and movies that you consume, have you ever been watching something and be like, oh, I had this idea. I've got this written down somewhere, and it was kind of like something similar. Obviously not the same idea, but have you kind of been surprised sometimes, like, oh, someone beat me to it?
If you were in the theater with me when I saw the first trailer for Escape from New York, you would have heard a guy go, no!
So that was one of them.
And frankly, I've been all these years worried someone would use the title Seven Deadly Sinners.
It would seem like, it's a very catchy title. It plays well. So yeah, I would have, they almost did it with 7, but they stopped at just the number, luckily. So.
Right.
So as you're watching TVs and movies, do you normally gravitate towards like action or comedy, or does it kind of like whatever, as you're scrolling through Tubi or Netflix, oh, that looks good?
I'll watch anything, and I seek things out. I seek out physical copies. I love samurai movies. I love Bollywood movies. I like French cinema. I mean, if it's a good movie, I mean, I saw a movie a little while ago about really low budget film out of Mexico called Highway Patrolman. Man, that was a good movie. So yeah, I'm curious. I want to see just about anything. Hong Kong action films, anything.
I know remakes are a big thing. People, that we were constantly getting a remake of that or and it's sometimes with the occasion of movies like Caught Stealing, or I'm excited for the sequel Ready or Not 2, because I loved Ready or Not.
That looks like fun.
Yeah. Very rarely do we get something like, oh, that's an original premise. Is there ever been a remake that you saw that you're like, wow, they actually topped the original movie that it was kind of doing the reboot of or remake?
Well, I think my favorite is the movie Sorcerer from the 70s. It was a remake of a French film called Wages of Fear. And Wages of Fear is a classic French adventure film, but Sorcerer is so much better.
Really?
I mean, it just lifts the premise up. Generally remakes fall down, but that one. And I wish they'd remake more movies that weren't as good as they should have been. Like, I'd love to see a remake of Damnation Alley.
Okay.
Because it's a great idea, but it was not a good movie.
Yeah. The one I always point to is 13 Ghosts, because that visually and stylistically, it was terrifying. And I was in a phase for a while where I'd go back and rent the original movie, and what a letdown that was. Like, one of the ghosts is a skeleton on strings in one of the rooms that they put a different colored light bulb. I'm like, what is happening? But I always get flack for this one because I always enjoy the remake of Ocean's 11 that they did with George Clooney better than the original. And I know that's blasphemy in some cases because it was the Rat Pack. How can you not like that? But it was just such a different ending. It was stylistically different, but it still had that little bit of Vegas slickness to it. But that's another one of the remakes I always liked to the original.
Well, I mean, not to be sacrilegious, but the first Ocean's 11 is a mess. That movie's a mess. I mean, they were making it after doing their nightclub act.
Right.
So these guys are hungover or drunk and definitely exhausted.
Yeah.
And kind of shows in the movie. It's a mess. I mean, the remake is great. That's a perfect example. I mean, they remade a movie that could have been better.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always surprised too that one of my favorite movies that I remember watching as a little kid with my dad was Cannonball Run. And coming back and finding out, a lot of these times these guys were drunk and high, and the director said, yeah, make up this scene. It's kind of has to be this, which is surprising because nowadays some TV shows and movies that I see, I think, gosh, they had to have improv some of that. No, it was very tightly scripted. And then Cannonball Run, which I would have thought, was tightly scripted, they were just given free reign to do what they want with.
Many takes.
Yeah. When you're working with people like Dom DeLuise, I can only imagine that it was hard to get through some of those moments as Captain Chaos.
Seriously, I couldn't get it through.
Yeah. So is there a particular actor nowadays who has impressed you? Like, wow, I will now see anything this person's in. I always, and again, this is something that's controversial for me because a lot of people love him. Timothée Chalamet, to me, is kind of like 90s Leonardo DiCaprio. He's in a lot of stuff, but you could pluck him out, put someone else in, and it wouldn't really change the aspect of the movie. But then there are other people, like we mentioned, Ryan Gosling, who I just think, gosh, he's always so good in these films. Is there an actor like that who you think is always brilliant?
Well, like I said, Ryan Gosling chooses well. I think Brad Pitt does the same. I think Brad Pitt chooses well.
Yeah.
And not to get too highfalutin, but Jean Dujardin, the French actor, I think he's terrific. He can do anything. He does, broad comedy. He does action. I like everything that guy's in. And again, I think he chooses what he wants to be in. He chooses well.
Yeah. And aside from I'd like to buy a vowel. Let me try that again. 7 Deadly Sinners. I keep wanting to combine 7 and deadly into one word for some reason. 7 Deadly Sinners. Is that kind of all your focus is on getting that? You said it's already done, but is the fulfillment and kind of keeping up with the day-to-day on that taking most of your time, or is there anything else you're working on that you can talk about?
Well, the last few weeks, it's been all promoting. I mean, I've been doing podcasts and radio appearances and things like that every single day, sometimes back to back. And then, hitting the old email list and hitting social media. I mean, it's hard to chop through that, foliage to get noticed on the internet. So there's a lot of heavy lifting there. So that's been my primary focus. I can't wait till the campaign is over so I can get back to writing.
And so once this campaign goes and you've gotten all the promotional stuff done, it sounds like it's pretty much on autopilot because it's done, it's finished, it's just production. I'm assuming Eric's company kind of takes care of a lot of the printing and the publishing and everything and shipping and all that part. So after you're done promoting, you can take a little bit of a well-deserved break, I hope.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're working through all the printing details now with Bob because he's got all the files and everything. So that's, I don't have to deal with any of that.
And I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I know we mentioned Bob and we mentioned obviously Graham Nolan, who I'm a big fan of. I got to meet him at Terrificon a couple of years back in Connecticut. Is there an artist out there that you haven't had the chance to work with yet that you really are kind of trying to find just the right project to bring someone in on?
Boy, I see guys all the time. I get emails all the time from artist agents showing me these fantastic guys. So there's a lot of guys I like to work with. And I got to work with Jack Herbert on a Rippaverse thing called The Great War of Separation. And I'm dying to work with him again. I've got a project I really want to work on with him.
I'm assuming different artists, different styles are going to match up to a certain type of story you're wanting to tell. Like you mentioned, Bob Hardin's art is perfect for 7 Deadly Sinners. I said it right that time. But obviously, you see someone who has a very smooth and like, okay, this would be more of a fantasy type story. Does that normally affect, like if you're paired with an artist, obviously at your level, you can kind of pick and choose who you want. But if you're paired with someone, does that change your aspect of storytelling at all? If you see an artist's work is coming in a certain way, or is it pretty much the artist usually kind of bends toward the storytelling?
No, when we did Robin Year One, Scott Beatty and I, we wrote a full script for the first issue, and then they showed us the artist, Javier Pulido, and we were like, we got to rewrite this because this guy is such an awesome storyteller. He can carry more of the story than the way we wrote it. So we trimmed dialogue and we rewrote scenes to be more visually driven because, this guy can do all that.
Yeah.
So, and as long as he makes us look like geniuses, we're happy.
It's always good to have someone. That's why I keep Joey V in studio, because he always makes me sound and look much better than I actually would be otherwise as doing this as I do. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm kind of looking at the chats. BK on the air from Cartersville, Georgia says hello. John Poe was down at the Missouri Valley Conference today and said he had a great time. Hello, John. I'm trying to keep an eye. We've got the text line, the YouTube, and the Facebook, and the other chats. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. If you called in, I just realized I haven't been looking at the phone. I do apologize if you tried calling. You can try to get a call in here in the next couple of minutes before I let Chuck go if you'd like to ask him anything. With the Levon Cade series that you've worked on, is there more there that we can see soon? Is that kind of, are there still some things coming from that universe for his world?
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to do a sequel to A Working Man, the movie version. And then just the other day, I've had a story in mind for a while. And just the other day, like 2 weeks ago, I figured out my opening for a 13th novel. So I'm definitely going to start that, I think, in May.
When you've got characters like that in your back pocket, do you think of stories and be like, how could I work that into him? Or do you, hey, this story's going to need a brand new character for me to tell this story? How does that kind of work creatively with you?
Yeah, I mean, certain stories fit certain characters. I mean, Levon Cade's more grounded in reality. So I had to, and then it's like, what do? I don't want it to seem contrived. You know how Murder, She Wrote, everybody she knew was always getting knocked off in that tiny little town. I don't want to do that. So I had to find new ways into the story to get him into the story. So with it, that don't seem ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, and I got a really cool story to tell. And now I got my opening. I figured out how to get into the story from the beginning.
And I know you're active on social media. It's at Dixonverse on Twitter, /X, whatever people are calling it now. And then on Instagram, you're on Instagram as well?
Yeah, I'm not there as much. I'm on Facebook under my own name.
Facebook. And like I said, if you heard me earlier, he's well worth the follow just to get his movie reviews because they're very, very insightful. Obviously, you've got that writer's insight when you're breaking down movies. That's why I often sometimes look at me like, oh, yeah, he's right. I missed that when I was thinking about looking at the movie overall because I enjoy these as a fan and sometimes don't have that particular aspect of it. Do you find that, does that ever affect your enjoyment of a movie that you sometimes are able to go in and you start kind of looking for things, or is that just sometimes the movies unfold and it's like, no, that's just an awful movie?
If it's a really good movie, but I always say you can learn more from a bad movie than you can from a good movie, because you're watching a bad movie and you're like, they should have done this, they should have done this, this is what they did wrong. This is what I taught my boys. I mean, I used to have my boys watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 so they would have critical mind when they were watching movies.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, but a really good movie will take me out of myself. I enter a fugue state just like everybody else, enthralled with the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you're listening, I'm not have a movie sponsor, but go out and support your local movie theaters. If you get the chance to go out and see them in the theaters, please go do so, because it's just that it's one of those things. It's like people are complaining about shopping malls going away now. Once the movie theaters are gone, you're really going to miss seeing them. And there's nothing like seeing those Avengers Infinity War and things like that in that communal space with a bunch of like-minded people who are just there to enjoy movies. So that's my TED Talk about movie theaters. Go see them in the theater. Anything else that you want to talk about? Any place else? Websites? Or we mentioned the social media where people can keep up with you. Is it mostly Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah, and you can always put my name in on Amazon.
There you go. Oh my gosh, yeah, because that'll keep you busy for a while scrolling through all the work you've got.
Get hours of fun looking at everything I've got on Amazon.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, with all the, like we said, the novels and then all the comic books on top of that and everything else. So with the 7 Deadly Sinners, my last question before I let you go, is there already another book planned, and how long do you think we may have to wait to see another story in that with those characters?
Well, Bob and I will certainly work on a new project, but this is a done-in-one 120-page graphic novel. Okay. So, but Bob and I, we definitely got other projects in mind because we loved working together.
Very cool. So we can see more from that dynamic team of Chuck Dixon and Bob Hardin as well. It's always fantastic to talk to you. Big fan. I mean, like I said, just so much of the stuff I just consumed because you were so prolific. And when I was reading comic books, you were the guy, especially with all the DC stuff. So thank you for all your work and all the imprints you've had on some of these fantastic characters. And I sincerely appreciate your time tonight.
Well, thank you, sir. And thank you to everybody who was listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
There he goes, Chuck Dixon. Make sure you check him out. We'll have a link again. If you're listening, want to check out that project, 7 Deadly Sinners. We'll have a link to that on the website. We've got a couple minutes here before we get out, and I know we can't talk about Project Hail Mary. We can't talk about it because the embargo's not until the 10th, but you sometimes see movies that I don't get to see. Has there been anything that you've gotten to see lately, Joey, that you can talk about?
Well, I think you and the wife both saw Hoppers,
yes.
And I'd love to tell everyone, go see it. It is wonderful. Pixar is back, baby. There was maybe a drop-off to some. I didn't see Elio and Elemental, but I heard it wasn't that great, so I didn't check those out. I'm not a big fan of some of the other Disney movies that have been coming out, like Zootopia 2 and Moana 2. I hate those movies, but with the Pixar brand, you're expecting more, and I feel like they delivered. The only thing against Hoppers is there's a glut of these talking animal movies. You go in saying, prove me wrong, make me think this is a good movie. And it starts off a little generic. You don't know. You recognize things like this kind of feels like Up. And then it takes a turn and it gets so silly and smart. And I loved Hoppers.
Yeah, I was very in the beginning kind of thinking, I'm not sure where this is going to go. But once they kind of got into the whole plot device where she's able to put her brain inside the body of the gopher, or the beaver, that was when the movie kind of, okay, this is not going where I thought it was going to go. I kind of compared it a little bit to, I can't remember the name of the movie now, that Bruce Willis voiced one of the animals. It was a whole animal movie.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, and now I should have written it down, but the thought just now popped in my head.
Was it a dog? Maybe. I forget.
There was a dog. It was
Bolt. I couldn't remember if that was Bruce Willis.
No, wasn't Bolt. Bolt actually was very good. But yeah, I think we saw, to your point about Pixar, we saw previews for Disney's Toy Story 5, and I'm just like, why? This movie doesn't... Like, I got excited when they announced Toy Story 2. Mm-hmm. You're doing a third one. Okay. Fourth, I'm like, do we need to do a fourth one? But I feel like this one, nothing about it excited me at all.
You know, I was 10 years old when Toy Story 1 came out, and so I'll keep hanging out with these characters no matter what. And I can't remember who's with what child and how they even hang out anymore, because I think they got given away to some other house, and then they hang out together some way. They find a garage door, it looks like in the trailer, but I am excited to still see Toy Story. But it's weird because Pixar, you in your mind think they make original films, but it is sequel after sequel that really makes them the money. So they have to dedicate a lot of time to making those movies. And it's great that this is an original one that works. And it's got a girl who is kind of brown-ish and her last name is Japanese. But if they just change her last name in whatever country they go into, it'll make $1 billion. Her last name is Tanaka. If they change it to like Chang or something in China, they'll make $1 billion. If they change it to Patel in India, they could make another $1 billion. I could see this being very successful. And nothing about it is like a Japanese story or anything. I just thought that was interesting that they chose that last name for her and her grandma.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Hoppers. I think it'll it's done well so far. I mean, we went and saw it at the AMC in their big Dolby screen, I guess it was, studio, whatever you want to call it. And I'd say it was probably about half full. Yeah, it was a Saturday, of course, but because the movie's been out for at least, 4 weeks now?
Which one? Hoppers? Hoppers just came out this weekend.
Did it?
You saw a movie opening weekend. Good for you.
I thought this had been out for a while.
No, it just came out.
I remember you talking about it a while back.
No. And what's great is I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. I've never stopped watching it since I was a little baby. And so Bobby Moynihan is the second lead. He's great. You got Vanessa Bayer, Ego Nwota, Melissa Villaseñor, and then John Hamm, St. Louis's own. He's a frequent guest. He's like the third lead of the movie. He was great as well.
Yeah. I the only voice I recognize, I was trying to think, is it Bobby Moynihan or Patton Oswalt? I couldn't quite nail down the voice because he'd kind of, the way his voice would shift, I couldn't really tell. But I'm like, oh, okay, so it was Bobby Moynihan. I was 50-50 shot.
I am a die-hard King of the Hill fan. And whenever you hear Peggy Hill, it just makes me so happy and warm. Greatest mom ever. And so Kathy Najimy as the lead scientist, it was wonderful to hear her voice as well.
Yeah, no, I had trouble finding fault with the movie. Like I said, a little bit slow to start, but I like the concept. I like the idea. I like the twist at the end with, gosh, I'm glad I didn't say more because I thought it'd been out for 3 or 4 weeks now.
And it costs $150 million, but I think it's going to make a couple billion at least. This is really going to translate and people are going to see it over and over.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I take away from it, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's kind of similar to another movie that it looks like. It has kind of a similar ending. I won't tell you which one. But that made me go, oh, I wonder if they were making those movies concurrently. And it's kind of a shame that they have a similar ending. But you'll figure it out when you see it, if you're a huge cartoon movie lover like I am.
And Over the Hedge was the Bruce Willis movie.
Oh, okay.
He played R.J. the raccoon. So I knew it was in there. I just couldn't figure out what it was. But yes, Over the Hedge. Kind of reminded, it had notes of that. It wasn't a copy or anything like that, but it reminded me a little bit of that.
A lot of death, a lot of dying talk, a lot of food chain stuff. So it's not just for little kids.
Right.
Meryl Streep's in it, the greatest actor of our generation.
Yes.
Go check out Hoppers.
Yeah, like Ryan Gosling said, she can do anything.
What did you give it for a star rating?
I think I gave it 4 out of 5, yeah.
You got to trust James.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening tonight. Thank you, of course, to Chuck Dixon for being our guest tonight. Make sure you check out 7 Deadly Sinners. We'll have that link in the show notes. Thank you to Joey V, whose voice you just heard, helping us review Hoppers, and for always making the show sound and look as good as it does. Until next week, my friends.
That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Gotham City. Good night.
From the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
Prices are a very small price to pay for world peace, says President Trump, as crude oil blows past $100 a barrel.